Okay, so nobody's getting the truth from the mainstream media, folks. It's well past time to open your eyes, your ears, and your mind. Do your own research, because something isn't right here. And if you can't see that, you are not paying attention, folks.
It's the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations.
So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. Now that's back from high school algebra, but let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
The important message that we need Australians to get vaccinated as quickly as possible. In line with that, I do encourage all Australians to please go and book your vaccinations as soon as you can if you haven't already done so.
Emma, get away!
When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
Okay, we need to stand up against this tyranny, folks. Stop giving away your freedoms and liberties, because the more you give up, the more these people will take until you have absolutely nothing left. That's their agenda.
Good evening, everybody. How are we?
A different approach today.
Yeah, let us.
And I brought my spiritual food with me. We all know that we're fighting the principalities of evil right now. For thousands of years, they've had a stranglehold on us, including there. So while everyone's actually doing their speech, I'm going to intercede with prayer quietly in a corner there. So each speech, I'll intercede.
Well, there you have it. I'll actually share that scripture that I actually presented to the group at Mondays at Maggie's, and it was quite a commonly known one of Jeremiah 29:11. Now, this is what the Lord says. You'll be in Babylon for 7 years, but then I will cover and I'll do for you all the good things that I have promised, and I will bring you home again. Now, that was buoyant. Now, I decided to take it further from 10, a little bit further along. This Babylonian spell that we've been along, folks, is been weighing us down. There's no question about that. And there's a lot of stuff that we can't control, particularly around what we're hearing and all our world leaders and this whole left and right upside down nonsense, right? But one thing we can count on is the Lord himself. And it has been promised to us. And 29:11, for I know I have the plans for you, says the Lord. Your plans for good and not for disaster. I give you a future and a hope in those days when you pray. And I want to stress the word pray. We must pray, folks. I will listen. If you look for me wholeheartedly, you'll find me. You will be found by you, says the Lord. I will end your captivity and restore your future. I will gather you out of the nations where I've sent you, and I will bring you home again to your own land. Now, let's remember, folks, that we've all been part of this maritime nonsense out to sea. We're going to be delivered. But I can't stress how important right now prayer is so pinnacle right now. We've got to galvanize in prayer. We've got to find a comfort in the Lord. We need to find those moments, and let's face it, we've all been there. I know what it's like, you know, when you get to a point where you can't take the battle any further because we're so exhausted. And there's nothing wrong with that. So you need to step back. And in doing so, you need to really allow yourself to come back to grace and come back to prayer and come back to, you know, honoring the Lord. This enemy that we're fighting isn't, you know, it isn't political. It's spiritual. And it's going to be so important for us in order to even go and to move forward in all of this. Right? So I encourage everybody right now to steadfastly start praying. Occasionally even have a day of fast where you just honor the Creator and allow Him to do some of the work for us. When you're feeling fatigue, let it happen. It will happen. And I know with myself, like even the times, a lot of the stuff I say goes unprepared, but I know that when I'm delivering a speech of some sorts, it's really being delivered by the grace of God Himself. Because I'm no poet and I'm certainly no scholar in terms of literature. But I have no doubt that He's using me as a vessel, as He's using every one of you. And I know there's hundreds of you out there in the movement. But I just want to relay that message this evening, and as we bring Caz in and tonight's news.
Thank you very much, Franco. And thank you for standing in for Dave. Dave's okay, guys, just so you know. He's just having a couple of nights off, so that's good. Franco, we've got lots going on. Our people are so active and so engaged. It is awesome. This is Craig Vine out the front of the ABC in Parramatta.
Yep.
So, the lowdown at the moment, Parramatta, Forest of the Fallen set up. We've already got council council member, he's over there under the umbrella, coming and doing his job, as they all say. He's pulling some flags out, but we're trying to sort of put up some resistance as to why we're here. And you know, I just sort of stated to him to look, you know, can't you just pass your job off and ignore it for 20 minutes, you know, while we're trying, you know, we're trying to save people's lives here, you know, like it's you know, something that, you know, everybody needs to learn about. I pointed it to the screen with all the evidence, and we still get those that attitude with I'm just doing my job and I'm not worried about that, I'm on your side and whatever, all that sort of shit. That was him that just walked past me, by the way. But yeah, just an appalling attitude that these people have got, man. You know, like, it's, you know, you try and understand that, you know, these people are working for a corporation and they're, you know, they state that they're doing their job, but I just told him, I said, look, why don't you just drop all that and understand what the hell we're bloody doing, you know? Like, this is about the children's future and further injuries being caused, and there's a whole lot more of them coming, but it falls on deaf ears, you know, like.
So that was him out the front. Now, the ABC was also here in Melbourne today, and we have Jay Hernandez with this report.
Live now in front of ABC, fake news media in Melbourne. And we've done a Forest of the Fallen for the victims. But some of them must have listened to these guys and pushed the propaganda and lies, and many have passed away and are injured from these poison jabs. And I was just looking at this building. Have a look, they've got a huge screen here. Have a look at that. That's crazy, mate. Anyway, we'll continue doing Forest of the Fallen because the message has to go out there, guys. People are getting killed, injured, cancers are on the rise. The rates are going off, and yeah, it's unacceptable, mate. This is the biggest genocide in human history.
Now, he also reported later on that they had called the ABC to report on the Forest of the Fallen, and no one still came out. However, Cafe Lockout were there.
Talk to us today.
I just saw all the rest in peace signs, and I just stopped. What was your name again, sorry?
Lenny.
Lenny. I just stopped and asked Lenny, like, what was this all about? Because obviously I just saw the ABC sign, and yeah, just saw all the rest in peace. I just said, what's this? And he goes, these are all the people that have died from the vaccine. So I didn't realize it was that stark, to be really honest. I think, yeah, I mean, it did feel, from my perspective, really forced. And I think it was a little bit along the lines of you can't really do anything unless you take the vaccine. I know for me, I had to take it for work. And I personally haven't had any side effects that I know about, but definitely it was very much the scenario of we don't really know what the vaccine does. I mean, you know, first we had the narrative of, and this is my personal perspective, and I'm not conspiracy theory at all, but first we had the narrative of you won't get the virus. Then it was like, oh no, you won't transmit it. And then it was like, okay, you might transmit it, but now you won't actually reduce the severity. It's like, it was a moving target. So it was like, I think from my perspective, it was basically, what does it actually do? So from my perspective, look, and they say it reduces the severity. Look, fair enough, but to be honest with you, I think what we really needed to do was lock up the vulnerable, and so that they're not going to get really sick or they're not going to pass away. But as far as the rest of it, we should have just gone about our daily business. I personally lost my job during COVID, during lockdown. I got evicted. So, and I'd been in my place for 7 years. I was got a 6-figure salary. So from my perspective, 6-figure. So yeah, from my perspective, the lockdowns were horrendous for me. I was supposed to get married in 2020 in Malta. So basically, I just watched everything just go away. So it was from my perspective, I copped the brunt of it, and all the provisions that were in place. The don't worry, you won't get evicted and all that sort of stuff. I copped the brunt of it. It was all crap, to be really honest with you. All the provisions in place, I fell through the cracks in that. So from my perspective, like I said, psychologically, I thought it was absolute farce. And the government said, oh, don't worry. I feel like it's a bit of a circle jerk, to be really honest with you. Don't worry, we did really well. I don't think we did really well. I think it's just because we've still got the same government that they want to say that they did really well. But if we had a different government, they'd probably turn around and go, this was a joke. So from my perspective, the vaccine, I don't think I don't know, I probably wouldn't want to get locked down again. I think we'd need to do it differently. And look, hindsight's 2020, but I think that from my perspective, the vaccine probably, I'm not as cranky about the vaccine, but I probably wouldn't want to do it. I know half my family said I'm not going to take the second one. They just said, look, they're up in Queensland. They just said, look, I'm not going to do it.
I've got a suggestion for you.
Very interesting interview there. He actually says, I missed it, but he actually goes on to say that, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but the vaccine guys there, they're onto something. So, it's people are waking up.
And also, Caz, when he said he had the 2020 vision, and the 2020 vision's fine when you've been given the truth, not when you've been frigging lied to, then you are definitely going in blind,
No, I know. It's crazy, isn't it? Look, we had Rocco, and he was at Monday at Maggie's.
He was, yeah.
Rocco Vardy coming to you from Maggie's here at the Governor General's. I'm here with my dear old veteran friend of mine, Joe McHale, Smoking Joe McHale. And I just, you wouldn't believe it, guys. The most touching moment I've had in such a long time where my friend here, Joe, has explained that one of his ex-workers, he used to work with this guy who's passed away with pericarditis. He just happened, he even said he wasn't even going to come here today. And he happened just randomly, he saw his picture and he broke out in tears. So I just asked Joe, my friend, if he would make a brief statement on how he's feeling. Joe, your loss, my heart goes out to you, brother. I don't know what to say, mate, because it's a really touching moment for me to see you, become aware of somebody that you knew for a few years, like you said. Is there anything you'd like to say to the to your family, your Freedom family, in regards to this tragic death that you've just discovered?
As my friend Scott, we used to work together at Credit Corp back in the day in one of these buildings. He was so strong. He used to pump weights. I don't know if you can tell. The guy was jacked. And he messaged me at the start of COVID. He told me he was forced to take the jab for his job. And he told me how he developed pericarditis and he couldn't even walk up the stairs after being one of the fittest.
Thank you, Joe. My heart goes out to you. We're praying for his family, that his family is recovering from it.
My condolences to your family, Scott. And so many of us have lost loved ones. And I'm telling you, These people will pay. These people are going to pay.
Yeah.
I swear.
Absolutely.
On everything that is good and holy. We are going to bring this.
Satanic system down. Once again, anyway, we'll wrap it up there. Anyway, another very touching moment here. Mondays at Maggie's. Rocco Vardy sending tremendous love. Ciao.
Actually, can I add to that for a sec, Caz, too? Like, we don't have a big Forest of the Fallen when we do Mondays at Maggie's, so it's only a small placard, small bunch that we have, and that there's thousands of them. And, it happened to be that one there, Joe, it just stood out for Joe. And, again, it was one of those God moments that touched him in that moment. And it was very real. I was there when it happened. It was actually very real.
There's lots of God moments happening at the moment. Yeah. It's very hard to deny it. It's just, seems to be all over the place. One of the things that I'm finding is I'm fascinated by this, the arrest warrants that they're looking for the men's staffers. Now, this kind of corruption, albeit corruption, let's just allege corruption, has been around for ages and nothing ever happens. Why is that? Right. And the media has joined in. Listen to this.
Are being considered for senior staffers who failed to show before an inquiry into the Dural caravan incident this morning. The group was summoned to give evidence but never turned up. Tom Saker explains.
Good afternoon. It's an unprecedented moment in New South Wales politics. Action being taken by the Legislative Council that could culminate in the arrests of 5 of the Premier's most senior staff. They were summoned to a hearing this morning to answer questions on legislation that was pushed through in the wake of the Dural caravan bomb plot before it turned out to be a hoax. They were a no-show.
I ask again if any of the following witnesses are present to give evidence.
That roll call happened twice this morning and it was crickets both times. The chair of the council, Rod Roberts, just walked into the President's office this afternoon where he urged him to seek arrest warrants at the Supreme Court for those staffers who didn't front up. The President, Ben Franklin, will likely take the weekend to decide whether or not he'll tell the Supreme Court to ask police to arrest those staff. If he doesn't, it could lead to a vote of no confidence.
Franco, what's going on? It's law. Like, they're actually abiding by the law.
Absolutely.
Not in Australia.
I know.
Not in Australia. We don't do law here.
That's right. And I was at council last night, right? And it's actually even capitulating at Wyong Council, right? Because they're starting to see through the friggin' all the bullshit, right? So it was pretty disheveled last night. It was actually pretty good to watch. So they're starting to fall, darling. They're starting to fall.
Well, that is good news. It's actually been quite a bit of an ordeal for us, and sometimes I grab this meme because it's so appropriate. This is us, guys.
You have to wake up! I have so much to show you! Stop resisting!
It's us. It's how we felt for the last 10 years, 20 years or something like that, but certainly in effort in the last 5 years. It's just been
definitely.
It's been full on. That bus driver attack, I don't know if you've seen it. That was actually very vicious. Now the problem here is that this guy is out on bail. So it's the justice system is absolutely outrageous at the moment, but we applaud it when it actually does its job.
Yeah, I think you go. Yeah.
What the fuck? Stop! Fuck off!
You know what? What gets me angry when I see stuff like that is the amount of people that don't intervene to help. And it's high time that we just don't tolerate the behaviour. It's one person against a whole busload. I mean, we could certainly take care of one person, you know what I mean? And instead of just watching it and getting our phones out to film it, I mean, that's great. But come on, man, we need to be helping our fellow brothers and sisters when these things are happening, Anyway, that's just me.
No, I know it is. It's interesting though, isn't it? Look, you've got a lot of stuff's happening sort of all at once. It's very interesting. One of the things that we do have to keep an eye on is apparently Chris Bowen, the Minister for Climate Change and Energy, signed Australia up to the methane pledge at COP27, and that means that bovine meat and dairy will be mandatory. So, no No, thank you. They just don't listen to our no, do they?
They don't indeed. Oh, they're going to soon. Well, I hope so. I'll keep praying.
Yeah, no, I think so. We're having some wins though. Like one of the things that is a big win is this, and we'll claim it as ours because he's one of us in a way. So Billboard Chris, now he has actually won. So he received the letter today, and it said, after reviewing the file and giving consideration to the facts and circumstances surrounding this matter, I wish to advise that the infringement notice has been withdrawn.
Of course. And I'm glad he took it all the way through, though, Caz, to prove a point. Well, good on him.
No, that's right. Yeah. So this guy here, Two Worlds Collide, he has commentary on the horrible situation where there are 124 girls, I think, that were injected with a substance at a concert.
Same music festival held in France every single year since 1982. The clip on the left, that's from 1994. Families dancing, kids laughing, pride in the country. And the clip on the right, that's from 2025. Street fights, bashings, women scared, and police overwhelmed. So what happened? France opened the gates and let the lawlessness flood right in. During this year's festival, 145 women were attacked with syringes across multiple cities. And this wasn't random. It was planned, coordinated, and organised. Before the event, social media posts encouraged men to jab women with syringes. And that's exactly what happened. In Paris, 24 women, including a 15-year-old girl, were injected. In Metz, 10 teenage girls were hit in the same city centre. In Chambéry, a man claiming to be a doctor punched a woman in the face after injecting her. And in Grenoble, women were rushed to the hospital after some attacks. Some felt drugged and others collapsed. GHB and other date rape drugs were used. Their attackers, largely African and Middle Eastern gangs. One Bangladesh migrant, with a deportation order already in place, was arrested with an empty syringe in his pocket. 12 men were arrested, but most are still free. France's streets have become a hunting ground for women. And here's the truth that no one wants to say. This is unfortunately Australia's future. When you bring in men from violent, lawless cultures who view women as property, don't act surprised when they treat Aussie women the same way. And we're already seeing it here, where 4 Middle Eastern men raped a minor. Machete attacks all over Melbourne from African youth gangs. Carjackings, bashings, and machete street fights in shopping centres. And our judges, they're handing out bail laws like parking tickets, just so immigration doesn't look bad. And the only difference is this. Europe's migrants, they either walk or boat it in. Australia, we fly them in, paid for with your tax dollars. This isn't just a failure of immigration, it's a betrayal by our own government. And they're protecting global reputation and diversity stats while ignoring our safety. They're not importing skills or values, they're importing dysfunctions. And if we don't change course, France won't be a warning, it'll be a mirror. What's your thoughts?
Yeah.
Harsh words.
And you know, really well put together. But you know, that's so typical right now. It's called problem solve solution. They're going to create the problem. They're going to tell you that we're going to solve it, and then they're going to tell you what the solution is.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
right.
problem solve solution.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly. Like let's just all microchip us, so we know where everyone is all the time, and
that's exactly right. You can see where it's going, Caz. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's crazy town. But it is very strange. Like the Sikhs usually don't. They're usually not sort of active, like to convert people to their way of things. But I've noticed a trend with this. So in Griffith, which is just down the road from me, they've named a roundabout in Punjabi after the lobbying, and it's only 3.4%. Now this is not the first time. This is actually like the second time. And I find it very interesting that this is happening at the moment. And then, of course, on top of that, you've actually got these situations where you've got the so many homeless. It's just, you know, the shock face of Sydney's new poor. So that was carried by, might have been the Australian, I'm not really sure. But also, like you've got this article here I think this was by ABC News, and these people are saying that they can't afford to have children or enter into the housing market despite both working full-time jobs in Australia's richest state. Well, yeah, they're working poor. That's what we've been talking about for the last, 6 months.
Yeah, and they're corralling us at the moment because everything they're doing is doing exactly that. They are destroying every fabric of our entire society right now. It really is, and it's not a laughing matter by means.
No.
We've got to start standing up, Caz. We really do. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's all very concerning. But look, we've got a lot of wins that are happening and
Oh,
that
we
sort of
do.
stuff.
We do.
And that's a really good thing. Now, one of the things that is hot news today, of course, is the e-safety commissioner. She just loves to get her name out there, I'm sure. Anyway, this is a report, first of all, by mainstream media, and Celine Against the Machine had a comment on it.
Wants Australia's social media ban for under 16s extended, putting pressure on Labor to scrap the YouTube exemption. It is a move that has divided opinion. Some teachers and parents have welcomed this, while others are furious, saying that YouTube is used as an educational tool. We caught up with a couple earlier today.
The government's not raising your kids, your parents raise the kids. It's like a nanny state.
I think there's lots of good parts of YouTube, to be honest. Obviously there are issues. There's probably content they shouldn't be accessing, but I think on the whole there's a lot of good things.
I think all the social media platforms under the age of 16 should be illegal.
YouTube has hit back in a statement saying 84% of Australian teachers use their platform at least monthly as an educational tool. The social media ban on other platforms comes into place for under 16s right across the country in
Celine Against the Machine, she actually viewed the whole thing, whole statement, and she put this report together. I've just got to find it. There it is.
I started working on the verification pilot when I was working for Microsoft here in 2008. So I've just listened to this woman ramble for an hour, and I have some thoughts. Shocker. Firstly, she goes on and on and on about this comparison of, kids being online to kids learning how to swim, and that the ocean is like online, and we've got to, teach them how to swim between the flags, yada yada. Like, she's obsessed with this correlation. But if you think about it for longer than 5 seconds, it really makes no sense. Like, how are you going to teach a child how to swim by banning them from being anywhere near water? So even when they do go in the water for the first time, they might have all the theory, but they've got no experience with it, so it's just, it's stupid. Secondly, we all know that this government and this bureaucracy couldn't give a shit about kids, because if they did, they'd be going after the porn. They'd be banning Pornhub, they'd be banning that would be the focus, but it's not. It's social media. And as I've said before, no one's disputing the harm that social media can bring to teenagers. We all know it's, it can be bad. But you know whose decision it is whether teenagers go on social media or not? Their parents, not the government. And that's the problem that people have with this woman and e-safety in general. It's not your place. She then goes on to say that they want to ban YouTube as well, so YouTube won't be exempt to the under 16s ban, which is just, and she also admits that they can't do anything about VPNs, so at the age of 10, I was more technologically advanced than my parents were. Kids are going to figure this out. Easy. But that's the thing. It's not about the kids. It's about the rest of us. She goes, oh, the world's watching us. Australia's pioneering. Yeah, they're looking at it. They're laughing at us. Your office takes down content criticising queer clubs in primary school. Your office takes down content that says men can't breastfeed. You're not exactly unbiased. It's so obvious what they want to do, man. They want to ban the kids off social media so they can pump their brains full of bullshit at school, and then they'll have no way to find out that they're being lied to about fucking everything. So yeah, it'll be pretty interesting to see where all this goes, but I don't think old Jules has the overwhelming support of the Australians that she claims to have.
Not that it matters. Yeah, no, she does great stuff. But look, Matthew Kamenzula, he weighed in on this and said, who is sick to death, sick to the back teeth of these pathetic people imposing on their daily... Sorry, I just can't read that. It's a bit small.
On their day life.
On their day-to-day life. Yeah, that's it. Just leave us alone. So, and certainly, and I must applaud Craig Kelly because he put this meme together. and it is beautiful.
Yeah.
But the thing is that with the VPNs, I mean, everybody will just go, does she have shares in VPNs?
Well, this is it. I'd say more likely she would. I mean, They've got their hand in so many pies except us, Caz.
No, somebody needs to go and actually investigate that and find out if she's got some shares or not, So
That's right.
we could have a look at it. All right, look, we're at past. We've got a big convoy coming up, and that is to support Jackie. So I'm just going to play the convoy.
And the details for the Freedom Unites Cairns to Canberra parade are as follows. Thursday the 26th of June, Cairns and the Northern Converge on Townsville. Friday the 27th of June, 7am, Townsville to Serena. Friday the 27th of June, 2pm to 5:30pm, Serena to North Rockhampton. Saturday the 28th of June, 6am, Rockhampton Caves to Gympie. Saturday the 28th of June, 1 to 5, Gympie to Toowoomba. Friday the 4th of July, 7am, Plainlands Mobile to Armidale. Friday the 4th of July, 1:30pm to 5pm, Armidale to Singleton. Friday the 4th of July, 7am, Gold Coast to Singleton. Saturday the 5th of July, 7am, Singleton to Pheasants Nest. And Saturday the 5th of July, 2 to 4:30pm, Pheasants Nest to Canberra at Epic. All small towns will be stopped along the way, and lunch is also organised en route. And Jackie Dundee will lead the march north. Friday the 4th of July at 11am, Albury BP truck stop in Lavington. They will be leaving. Friday the 4th of July between 1 and 3:30pm, they will drive from Albury to Wagga. On Saturday the 5th of July at 9am to 11am, they will drive from Wagga to Canberra. And the Freedom Unites Cairns to Canberra parade also has the opportunity to sponsor someone. If you cannot make it, then please pop along and sponsor someone. And in the 125th year recognition of our Constitution signing and power, we the people give it, the Freedom Unites Cairns to Canberra poses the question, if the politicians aren't swearing an oath to uphold the Constitution, then who are they really working for?
Go, Jackie.
Go, Jack.
Yeah.
And Jodie, they're doing
I
a
wish
really
them
good.
both the very best, and I actually have signed the papers as well. I did it on the weekend, so let's get this done. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've printed mine out as well.
Yeah.
It's not all bad news. We get some good news. That apparently is the dissatisfaction with Albo.
Insignificant Albo.
Insignificant Albo. Isn't that just absolutely what it is? There's a lot of now, of course, we had the Iran and Israeli situation happening over the weekend. We've had a lot of various comments on that. What's interesting to note, though, is Prince Reza. He has said he has basically said he wants to come back to Iran. Here he is here.
My fellow compatriots, our beloved Iran has been dragged into a devastating conflict, the architect of which is none other than Ali Khamenei and his corrupt, destructive faction. He has driven our nation's economy to the brink of collapse, plundered our national infrastructure and resources, squandered the nation's wealth on developing nuclear weapons, shattered Iran's security, and stolen the sovereignty of the Iranian people. This regime is defeated.
Now, Jim Willie's also reporting that he's had reports from people within Iran who have told him that there's at least 100 imams who have bank accounts with $1 billion in it in Switzerland, and they are looking to flee. And he's a financial guy, and they get pretty good information. So
I've got a question, actually, Caz. They took out these nuclear plants, right? Well, wouldn't there be radiation or compositories?
Well, what is interesting is there was actually a couple of series of earthquakes just around those places just prior. Whether they were taking it out, whether they were, or perhaps there was some testing from the Iranian side being done. Look, just don't know. We can only guess at that sort of stuff. But it is interesting that it all kind of coincides. Now, Tori says she weighed in on it, remembering that she has I think, majestic clearance or something like that when she was working for the intel agencies. And one thing about security clearances is they don't lose them, which is why they go contracting. But she weighed into it, and she said that sorry, I'm a bit all over the place here today. She actually said people don't see it. China and Russia left Iran stag. No, there is more happening that you cannot see. Why did those allies do nothing again? Pause and think. Why did Israel now demanding that the Ayatollah head? They want a forever war? No. Now you'll see. Patience. Enjoy the show. Nuclear. And then she wrote, Candace Owens, nuclear fallout was to happen. Israel is a freaking trigger happy for a nuclear war, not the Iranians. We saved the Iranians with what we did. We shut Israel's excuses down. Now, no casualties at the site. This is done for the sake of humanity. And then she went on to say that President Trump had to. Israel was going to be wiped out. No time for peace. The rest of the world is mad. But save the Israeli people from the horrible government. We went in. We don't need nuclear fallout. They were going to flatten Israel. Now the war begins. Thanks to Israel, North Korea, NOCO is North Korea, is coming up to bat. And then the next day, of course, little what's his name, Rocket Man. He was basically
Elon.
Then he's basically Kim Jong Il. Kim Jong Un. He basically said that he could give the Iranians some nuclear weapons. What I find interesting though is the timing of the cue boards. So it says now this is 2018, a delta for that date on 2018. So like 7 years ago to the date. And it says free Iran, fight, regime change. People have the power. We stand with you. And you can see by the responses of the Iranian people as well that they love Trump.
اگرم رئیس جمهور نمیشدی حیف زندگیت بود و خیلی پول یاد بود گناه داشتی. I love you. I love you.
You've also had
people in the head spin, man. I tell you.
I know, but it is like, look, it's all going on at the moment, and we've been told that the war's going to last for 3 weeks. So, but even though Iran actually has just ignited a new arsenal of firepower against against Israel in the last sort of hour. So, very interesting times that we live in.
Well, I guess it's a time we've all been waiting for, I guess, in a funny kind of way, So no one ever knew how it was ever going to be played out. So we'll just keep waiting and see, But it's definitely heating up somewhere, I mean, all the spot fires around the world at the moment. So,
Well, that's right. And look, just on Trump, before I go to the Nino on the 4chan and the keyboard, look at this little report.
Driving without a license will soon be completely legal in the United States. Starting January 1st, 2026, this new policy will take effect as part of the Road Access Act, recently passed to reduce pressure on the justice system. Under the new law, individuals caught driving without a valid driver's license will no longer face criminal charges. Instead, they'll receive a civil fine, similar to a parking ticket. The Department of Transportation says the goal is to prevent overcrowded courts and jails from being clogged with non-violent offenses. Supporters argue it's a necessary reform that will help low-income Americans who struggle to access licensing services. But critics, including several state police unions, warn this could seriously compromise road safety. The National Highway Traffic Safety.
Very interesting.
Yeah, that's heading in the right direction.
It is. There's lots of stuff that is heading in the right direction too, because we've got the FBI and Director Dan Bongino has announced that there's been 449 child sexual predators under 2 major operations, 224 children being rescued. And the other thing that was very interesting, of course, was this little tidbit. So John McAfee faked his death and is still alive in Texas, ex-girlfriend claims in Netflix doc. Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, very.
Very interesting. Now, Nino did.
When do they finally figure it all out?
Well, that's what we're at. So
Yeah.
we don't mind a bit of Q news here. So
No, not at all.
This is a report from Nino, or Nino interviewing somebody about how it actually came about. No, it was actually for Cicada. Cicada predated the whole Q movement. So, but anyway, this is what this colonel says.
And so if it's a CIA op, it sucks. If it was co-opted at some point, they still suck because they created an entity and gave these people skills. And let me point out something else. It was very interesting where they went to do it. Now, I don't know anything about what they call the boards or 4chan or any of that stuff. I'm not technically inclined at all. But I do know the tools that the NSA has. They monitor every single entity like that, whether it's Signal or anything else. They have the ability to monitor the Xbot chat rooms, all of that stuff. Everything that people talk in, they have the ability to monitor. Now, whatever the original platform, I think it was 4chan, if the NSA was watching that and watching people discuss things that they had found outside of Q before Q ever showed up, that these people, as they refer to themselves as autistic, had the ability of all of the different platforms that they were monitoring to set up an operation to be able to train those people who already had some significant skills of research capability. That is where they would have picked to put this capability and train those people who already had skills in doing research. And so I don't think it was random that they picked that particular platform in order to do that.
So what they have a whole army of people.
Yeah.
So which is incredible, really. And you know, like just the amount of information and research that they've been able to do, and the pulling together, like the Q clock and how the Q clock works and all of that sort of stuff. Absolutely incredible. So it's a brilliant idea. It's a brilliant operation. We know that there's Operation Trust. We understand that, but this is different because it's actually not saying do nothing. It's actually waking up a whole group of people, the whole world, really.
Well, it was a form of communication while we were still in the dark. So something had to kick a movement off, and Q was that movement, and it engaged us. But and then now when you look back, you know, it's all come to pass. Like it's quite remarkable, you know. Like so, it has actually there hasn't been a stone left unturned in the whole thing. So
no. Well, the good thing about it is, though, if it is, if like you know, is that according to the Q board, though, it was always Iran, and then Israel was going to be saved to last. So we're in the final chapter. We're in the last few weeks, the final chapter. So
we are indeed. We are.
So enjoy this time. We know it's stressful, but guys, you'll never get this moment back. Once it's all gone, you'll look back and go, "Oh, it seems hard now," but you'll look back and go, like, you know, after you give birth, and it's like, "Oh, hell, I could do that again." But when you're going through it, it's like, "Oh my God, just chop my head off." You know?
I don't want another 7 years of it. I can tell you now, Caz.
I don't think any of us do. Anyway, so look, we're being taken out tonight by Cries of the Crusaders by Struggle. And so, Franco, if you'd like to wrap up and close the show, I shall hit play.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, like I said, how I began the show is kind of how I want to end it. Guys, it's imperative right now that all our community groups start supporting one another. So if there's something happening in the local community, your local council, whatever it is, you've got to engage, start engaging. And like I said, if you're getting a bit fatigued and a bit weary, you know, spend some time with the Lord and have a bit of a prayer for your fellow friends. But there is one thing I just want to mention also. On Monday, the July 14th, Mondays at Maggie's, we'll be going to the Red Cross at 10:30 prior to the time we go to Maggie's. And obviously, we're going to head up the Red Cross once again. And let's not forget that Margaret Beasley is the patron of the Red Cross. So 10:30 on the 14th of July, we're going to be heading over there. Apparently, it's also Charles McKenzie's birthday, so we're going to get some birthday cake and celebrate with him as well. So, but yeah, stay above it, folks. We're going to get there. It's all good.
All right. Well, look, Cry of the Crusaders is taking us out tonight. So good night, everyone.
God gave us light, but somebody hit the breaker. Lost in the dark till I met my maker. Fighting for peace while I'm here on God's acres. Love thy neighbor. I don't even hate haters. They say don't be violent in the face of my traitors. We can talk about it later. My savior came in flipping tables. I'm a crusader. My heart is my anchor. The angels are crying and smearing their makeup. You dance with the devil, I march to their cadence. Feeding my kids with the fruits of my labor. I paid all my payments, I'm all out of patience. So save all your statements. You say from your basement, I stand on the pavement and fight for my people against you dictators.
Crusaders, show them what we're made of. I put my armor on, hear the cries of the Crusaders. We'll show them what we're made of.
I stand for what's right, even if I stand alone. I'd rather be losing this battle than winning while fighting for something that I know is wrong. Known all along, I have a purpose, gotta reach my people. Ain't no common ground on the battlefield that we're standing on. It's a war going on of good and evil. I'm a crusader, screaming my prayers. I'm hoping that God hear my word and find favor. Speaking my truth and my tongue is a razor that open the wounds, leave the devil disabled. I'm standing in light, so the darkness around me, my heart keep on pounding. The trumpets are sounding, I'm not backing down, and they counting me out, but I just keep on counting.